I'll be reading to you a very famous book. I used to think, on account of my somewhat strange start in life, I suppose that I was unlike everyone else. In one way I am. After all, I'm now 130 years old, and I think you'll find that quite unusual. Even in these days of advanced medicine, I have to had a while to think about some important things in life, and one of the most important is the business of growing up. What fun it is, how difficult it is. It makes you what you are. It certainly made me what I am. Now there's no point in pretending here. I was and still am deep down a puppet. Everyone knows Pinocchio is a puppet. Signor Carlo Collodi first told my story, which made me instantly recognisable, and then Mr. Walt Disney made a fantastic film about me, with songs for goodness sake, so I reckon I must be just about the most famous puppet in the world.
Okay children, this is a fantastic book called The Paperback Princess. Are you ready? Elizabeth was a beautiful princess. She lived in a castle and had expensive princess clothes. She was going to marry a prince named Ronald. And there they are. Unfortunately, a dragon smashed her castle, burned all her clothes with his fiery breath, and carried off Prince Ronald. Oh dear. Elizabeth, because she was very brave, decided to chase the dragon and get Ronald back. She looked everywhere for something to wear, but the only thing that was not burned was a paper bag. So she put on the paper bag and followed the dragon. He was easy to track down because he left a trail of burned forests and horses' bones. Finally, Elizabeth came to a cave with a large door that had a huge knocker on it. She took hold of the knocker and banged on the door. The dragon stuck his nose out of the door and said, "Well, a princess. I love to eat princesses, but I have already eaten a whole castle today. I'm very busy, dragon. Come back tomorrow." He slammed the door so fast that Elizabeth almost got her nose caught. Now, this is all I'm going to read of this fabulous story today, but if you want to read it, you'll have to guess who I am.
Oh, this looks like a nice book. The Gruffalo by Julia Donaldson. A mouse took a stroll through the deep, dark wood. A fox saw the mouse, and the mouse looked good. "Where are you going to, little brown mouse? Come and have lunch in my underground house."
"It's terribly kind of you, Fox, but no. I'm going to have lunch with a Gruffalo."
"A Gruffalo? What's a Gruffalo?"
"A Gruffalo? Why, didn't you know? He has terrible tusks and terrible claws and terrible teeth in his terrible jaws."
"Where are you meeting him?"
"Here by these rocks, and his favourite food is roasted fox."
"Roasted fox? I'm off," Fox said. "Goodbye, little mouse," and away he sped.
Silly old fox, doesn't he know there's no such thing as a Gruffalo?
Interesting book. But who's behind the mask?
There were big monster eyeballs as spooky as can be, hanging in the haunted house and staring right at me. I tried not to look, but their eyes were red and round. Those big monster eyeballs are the creepiest in town.
10 little princesses, like Batman. 10 little princesses looking quite divine. Out just thought, now there are nine. Who am I?
The runaway pea. It's 6 o'clock and we're ready for tea. But look, what's that? It's the runaway pea. He pinged off the plate with incredible force, then slipped and went splat in a puddle of sauce. The carrots and beans were all laughing with glee. You didn't get far, you piddling pea. Just watch, said the pea. I've hardly begun. I might only be small, but I want to have fun. The pea shot away with a skip and a hop.
They must be her. You know who she is, Maria? Shall she reveal herself? Who knows?
Hello, I bet you'll never guess who I am. Now, I am going to read a little bit of my favourite book to you. And the title of this book is Dangerously Ever After, and it's by Dashka Slater. Princess Amanita loved things that were dangerous. She loved her pet scorpion and her brakeless bike and her collection of daggers and broken glass. She loved leaning out of the topmost turret in the castle and walking blindfolded at the edge of a moat. But most of all, she loved her garden, which was said to be the most dangerous place in the world. Princess Amanita's garden was filled with prickles and stickles and brambles and nettles. There were plants that stung and plants that stunk, and plants with spikes so sharp that the palace gardeners wore armour when they needed to weed them. One day, as the princess was watering a patch of itching thistles, a prince from a neighbouring kingdom rode up. His name was Florian, and he was out looking for a dragon to slay, or a knight to challenge, or at least someone his own age to talk to. Hello, he said. Nice flowers. Well, I've got flowers on as well. They're not all nice, said Amanita. Their itch is worse than 1,000 mosquito bites. Then she noticed the prince's sword, which looked very sharp and dangerous. Nice sword, she remarked.
Oh, hello there, children. It's Mr. Lion here, and welcome to World Book Day. We're going to do some reading, or rather, you're going to do some listening. Hopefully, for the rest of the day, you'll do some reading as well, because it's so important. You're going to be listening to a little bit of this story here, Alice in Wonderland. I'm sure you've probably heard of it before. You may have even seen the film, though the films are a little bit different. So, at this point in the story, Alice has been out with her sister in nature, and she started to get a little bit bored. Suddenly, she sees a very strange rabbit. The rabbit is hopping off and suddenly disappears down a hole. Alice decides, well, I'd better go and see where he's gone to, and follows him down. Let's see what happens next. Oh. Can't forget the glasses. Oh. Much better. Right, here we go. In another moment, down went Alice after him, never once considering how in the world she was going to get out again. The rabbit hole went straight on like a tunnel, some way, and then dipped suddenly down, so suddenly that Alice had not a moment to think about stopping herself before she found herself falling down what seemed to be a very deep well. Either the well was very deep, or she was falling very slowly, for she had plenty of time to think as she went down, to look about her, and to wonder what was going to happen next. First, she tried to look down and make out what she was coming to, but it was too dark to see anything. Then she looked at the sides of the well and noticed they were filled with cupboards and bookshelves. Here and there she saw maps and pictures hung upon pegs. She took down a jar from one of the shelves as she passed. It was labelled orange marmalade. But to her great disappointment, it was empty. She did not like to drop the jar for fear of killing somebody underneath, so she managed to put it in one of the cupboards as she fell past it. Well, thought Alice, after such a fall as this, I shall think nothing of tumbling down the stairs. How brave they'll all think of me at home. Why, I wouldn't say anything about it, even if I fell off the top of the house, which was very likely true. Down, down, down. Would the fall never end? I wonder how many miles I've fallen by this time, she said aloud. I must be getting somewhere too near to the centre of the earth. Let me see, that'll be 4,000 miles down, I think. You see, Alice had learnt several things of this sort in her lessons in school, and though this was not a very good opportunity for showing off her knowledge, as there was no one to listen to her, still it was good practice to say it over. Yes, I think that's about the right distance, but I wonder what the latitude or longitude I've got to. Alice had not the slightest idea what latitude or longitude even meant, but she thought they were grand words to use. Presently, she began again. I wonder if I shall fall right through the centre of the earth. How funny it will be coming out among the people that walk with their heads downwards. The antipathies, I think. She was rather glad there was no one listening to her this time, as she had no idea about that word. But I shall have to ask them what name of the country they'll be. Please, ma'am, is this New Zealand? Or is this Australia? And she tried to curtsy as she spoke. Fancy curtsying as you're falling through the air. Do you think you'd manage it? And what an ignorant little girl she'll think me for asking. No, I'll never do to ask. Perhaps it will be written somewhere. There we have it, a little bit of story from Alice in Wonderland. Go check it out if you've been interested by it. Happy reading!